Hi, and welcome to MS Sedco. You're watching a training video for the Intersector Hub, and this particular video is video number 2 for the Hub portal. The portal serves as the main interface, the main user interface, and this is where you're going to find all of the functions and all the settings, adjustabilities, network connections, all these kinds of things. And so this video also assumes that you in fact know what the hub is. Perhaps you're already acquainted with it a little bit, or you've watched some of our other videos on our YouTube channel, such as the hub orientation video or the connectivity video showing you how to get connected to a network. So let's get started. What you're looking at is the portal login page, and how I got here was I just opened up a browser, and you can use any browser like Edge, Chrome, Firefox, Brave, pretty much any of them will work. I happen to be using Edge for this video, and so to get to this page you have to enter in the IP address of the hub, which is 192.168.0.80. Enter that IP address and then hit enter, and this is where you'll end up to the login page. By default, the user type is traffic engineer. You'll see there's one other selection called root. You don't want to use that. The admin password is not going to work for that. That's a different level of entry, not used in the field. So keep traffic engineer, and then for the password, all lowercase letters, enter admin. Click login, and this is the first page you're going to arrive at. You can see it says at the top here, Intersector portal. The very first thing you want to check is in the upper right corner, the status of the connection. Right here we have a green dot which indicates everything's a go, and it says connected. It's pretty clear. And this indicates that our connections are good. The hub's talking to the sensors. We're connected to our portal. Everything seems to be fine. So now we can proceed. So on this first page, first and foremost, you'll see network settings right here. It shows the local area network, wide area network, the Wi-Fi, SSID, and then also the password for the Wi-Fi. If you click show key, there's the password for the Wi-Fi, and then also DNS settings and what server we're using. And this right here, the 192.168, that's what we entered in our browser to get to where we're at. So nothing is configurable right here. It's only viewable information. If you wanted to alter any of these IP addresses or Wi-Fi information, anything like that, then you'd have to go over to the side menu here and set IP address. You'd click that, and here is where you can actually change things. I would recommend you first go around just to get acquainted, leave everything at the default, and then once you get a little more familiar, then you can start changing things and customizing it for your application. We'll close that. I'll go back to this side menu a little bit later on, but for now let's continue on this the main content here. So over on the left side you'll see Intersector Hub. There's a description here. Right now it says NA. You click the little icon next to it, and that opens up a box where you can enter in the information. And what's intended here is the location of the hub. So for example, it's written in there Main and First Street. We can keep that. We can just type it in if you want. First and Main, we'll call it. Now when you enter that, you hit the little check mark here. And that saves it, and now you're good to go. That's non-volatile. So under that we have a fail-safe mode, and I'm just going to highlight the fail-safe mode now just to briefly explain it. There's another explanation as well inside of the user's guide. Fail-safe mode, though, relates to the condition that occurs when something unexpected happens, like you lose lose power to a sensor, for example. So when that happens, in fail-safe mode, the hub immediately places a call to the traffic controller while the sensor is in a fail-safe mode, while the hub is in fail-safe mode. And let's say by chance that the fault that occurred, let's say there's a power loss at a sensor, and let's say that power, it self-corrects after a minute or two. Let's say the power just comes back on and the sensor boots back up. In this condition, the time that it takes for everything to return to working order and for the call to be removed or the call to be terminated to the traffic controller is the sum total of time from when the power comes back on, the sensor boots up, the hub acknowledges it, and then it exhausts whatever is set in our fail-safe timer right here on the fail-safe mode. So if I click default, you'll see it goes to 120 seconds or 2 minutes. So that means, like I just explained, if the sensor loses power and then it comes back on, the sensor reboots, the fail-safe timer starts, and then when that's expired, the calls are released from the traffic controller and everything goes back to a working condition. There's no physical reset of anything that has to occur. Everything is automated. So when you see that, the important thing here is just because that's set to 2 minutes, that doesn't mean that that will be the precise time that will elapse, after the sensor gets power or whatever fault occurred is corrected. The total time is the sum total of a couple of different times, and one of the biggies is this fail-safe timer, fail-safe mode. Again, you can read up more about that in the Hub User's Guide. So let's move on. Below that, you'll see date and time. There's browser time and the Intersector Hub time. And you can synchronize this with your browser time or NTP. NTP is a network time protocol, and I typically select that, but really doesn't matter. It's whatever your preference is. Both are reliable. That's all there is to it. Once that's selected, then again, that's non-volatile, and you'll have a date and time stamp for any records, any events that are recorded by the hub. So now, below all that, you're going to see 6 boxes here. Each box represents an intersector, and it represents each of the 6 ports that are on the front of the hub. So right now you see I have one sensor that is reading an IP address. I have a green dot. It's active, yes. The health, it says sensor good. So that means I actually have an intersector connected to that port. It's powered and everything is working. Now you see on these other boxes, the IP address is all 0. There's no activity, and it's a blank status for the health, and I have a black indicator here. That just means that nothing is on the port, or if it is, it's not communicating. And so you'll see that this is, here it says box 1, box 2, box 3, box 4, and so on. I'll switch over to a picture of the hub, and I'll show you. So you see here's the hub, and you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the portal mimics the port configuration right here. So these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this is where each of the 6 intersectors would plug into. And as long as we're at this picture, I'll just say real quickly, you see laptop 1 and laptop 2, these 2 ports right here. This is where you connect an Ethernet cable to connect up to your PC or your laptop so you can communicate. That in fact is how I am connected right now to be able to show you this video and have a live connection to the hub that I have sitting here on the bench. So let's go back to our portal. So as we put a description here for the hub location, you can also put a location for each intersector. You see each one has a location where you can enter a description. So again, click the little icon, and this one you'll see we put in the example of northbound. So this is going to be, where is your intersector pointing? What traffic direction is it pointing into? So on this one, we'll just keep what's there, and I'll just say northbound, and then again click the little check mark, and then that's saved. The View More tab right here, if you click on this, you see a little diagnostics box pops up, and there's some statistics here and things. I'll go through them. SQI is Signal Quality Indicator. This SQI is a common term that's used in various products, and it's just used to rate the quality of a signal. In our application for the hub, this just means that we are looking at the signal quality on the Ethernet cable that goes from the hub to this particular intersector. Typically, anything over a value of 10 is good. You're more than likely going to see 12, 13, 14, somewhere right in there, which is fine. That's good. If this were under a value of 10, I would probably check the connections on the Ethernet cable between the 2 points, make sure everything is good. You'll see that that just switched to 0 and went back to 13. That's normal. It's just resetting itself at preset frequencies. Next is voltage. This is the voltage that is being supplied to the intersector sensor that we're looking at. So I'm sure you know that the intersector sensors run on 24 volts, and so this value should be extremely close to the 24 volts plus minus a few percent. That's normal. Below that, you're going to see the power consumption. Here we have 0.18 amps or 180 milliamps. This will vary a little bit depending upon the activity at the sensors. If the sensor is in a state of detection or not, it could fluctuate. You see there I went to 0.2. So anywhere in this range, 0.17 to 0.2 or so, that's going to be normal. Counters. These are live counters, so whenever a fault occurs or a condition occurs on one of these areas, then this will tick up by a value of 1. So if we have one lost connection, it'll show the number 1 there. This is good as a little indicator, if you will, if there was some known issues at a particular location. You can call up the hub and look at this information and see if you in fact had any lost connections, or maybe if a sensor went into error. There was a rain occurrence. If the rain is heavy enough, the sensors can acknowledge that and send a rain indicator, if you will, to the hub and know that occurred. If your signal quality, if that dropped below the minimums that are expected, then that would uptick by 1. And the same for the voltage and the current, pretty straightforward. Down here is a cable length and also an indicator of health of the Ethernet cable. So right now, I have on my bench the hub connected to an intersector, and I have roughly a 3-foot cable. I have a real short Ethernet cable just for use on my bench top. And so if I click this link MD refresh, it says cable is good. There's a length of 3.3 feet. No problems. So you'll see there's different cables here. This all just indicates the pairs of wiring on the cable. So that's pretty straightforward. If you wanted to, after you have all the counters and everything, let's say it's been installed for a month and some of these have values other than 0, you can just click refresh and it resets everything to 0. And that's pretty much it on the more info box. So we'll get back out of that. Okay, so let's go back to our sensor that we have plugged in. You see anything that has this bluish color, just like hyperlinks on your computer, this links you to something. So if you click the IP address, so this takes you to a second page. This page that you're looking at, we call this the grid page, and this is where you set up information for the sensor. Now, I'll go through this in another video. This is a lengthy video to discuss all of this, everything that's on this page. So right now, I'll just give you a little teaser, if you will. There would be a sensor here that's looking out, right? And you would add zones, grid lines and such to set the area up so the sensor has an area to look at, a defined area to look at to know when to trigger an output, and then the hub gets that information, and according to how everything is configured, it determines when to send a call to the traffic controller. So, for example, if you had you put 3 grid lines, it puts the grid lines there. If you add a zone, you can set this up in click it, and over here you'll see the zone information. This is where you would set everything up: zone classification, regular, bike, car, truck, custom. Do you want it a pulsed output? This shows the width and the length of the zone. You can change these values here, or you can grab the zone and move it wherever you want. This is SDLC output. Further down, you have phase information, what's going on with the traffic controller. SDLC information. This is where the BIUs are, bus information. And so you would just click yes, that enables this BIU. And then enabling that allows you to select the SDLC output up here. So if I wanted to change that to 1, this value of 1 is going to link to this SDLC out 1 on BIU 9. Okay, so I'm not going to get too involved with that. We'll go ahead and I'm going to do a grid reset here, clear everything that I just entered, and then I'll close out of it, and we'll go back to the first page here, since that's what our video is concentrating on. So 6 intersectors. You can do that with every single intersector where you click on the address. If you click on the address when it's all zeros, it will still take you to the grid page, but the grid isn't going to have anything to look at, and since there's no incoming signals from one of the intersectors, the page just isn't going to be usable. You can view it, you just can't do anything with it. So let's go back to our side menu. Now, this side menu, you notice when I moved my mouse over there, it pops out. You don't have to click it or anything. You just hover your mouse over into the blue area and the side menu will appear. Let's start at the top here, download settings. This is where you can type in a file name like first and main, for example, and download the file. And what is it downloading? It's downloading a simple text file that is capturing the information that you have entered in the description. It's entered the information that you put into fail-safe mode. Let's put that back to 0. It'll capture the information down in each of the intersector boxes. So it's going to capture the description that we entered, and I believe the IP address, and that's it. That's all it's going to do. And so if you then wanted to take the information that you downloaded, let's just call ours test, and I say download. You see down here, this shows you that it was saved. It's called test2. I think I had saved one file before with test, so it just it goes up numerically, test2, test3, and so on. And if I wanted to, I could click on that and open file, and you'll see here that a little notepad opens it, and it just says portal settings, port name, northbound. That's what I entered. The IP addresses, all of that, and then further along the gateway, the description, you see there's first and main that I entered down on one of the intersectors, 192.168.11, and that's it. So if I close out of that, go back to our menu here. If I wanted to take that text file now and upload it to another hub, I could. When that other hub is connected, I would just go over to this menu, click Upload Settings, choose my file. I would find wherever that text file was and upload it. And when I do that, it's going to apply the same information that I've already entered on this one. Sometimes it can be helpful, sometimes not, a little time saver. You'll find in time you may use these little features to just help expedite things. So let's go back to our menu. The next one is Tcig Bootloader. Tcig is Traffic Cabinet Interface Gateway. If I click on that, you'll see it gives me three options. There's a PIC loader, an intersector bootloader, and a Pi bootloader. Pretty self-explanatory, except for maybe the Pi. The Pi is what we call Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi is nothing but a super mini computer, and we have a Raspberry Pi inside the hub. That's what does the computing. And so occasionally on any of these three, if MS Sedco ever had, let's say, updates, non-critical updates, let's say, we could take our updates and email you the file, and then using this utility, you could load the file accordingly to whichever one it goes to and do your update. This is a real time saver. It's super convenient because you don't have to go physically remove equipment from the field and send it to us to have in-house reprogramming done. So this is a really good feature. So we'll close out of that, go back to our menu. Set up IP address. I think I already touched on this once. It's pretty self-explanatory. This is where you change your IP addresses, Wi-Fi information, DNS settings, things of that sort. If you ever are messing with this, trying to configure things and you screw up, yeah, it happens, you can always reset it to the default values and it'll go back to all the information you see here. And it at least gets you working again so you can start over in your configuration. So we're going to close this. That's pretty much it with that. Portal reset. If I click this, it's going to, I'm not going to do it here, but do you want to reset the data? Okay, if I click OK, then it's going to clear some things out. I'm just going to cancel this. But what portal reset does is it clears the information that has been entered on our description. It clears information in the fail-safe mode, sets it back to 0, and it clears all of the descriptions, like northbound right here. It'll clear that information for each intersector that's been configured that way. Okay. Now the next one is factory reset. Factory reset's a little more powerful. This is a complete reset of the hub. And again, I'm not going to do that. But if I were to click OK, it resets everything I just described to you. But then let me jump back over to the grid page. It will also reset all of the information here where you see there's things that can be changed. So stop bar location, the display beam, it sets everything back to its default value. So in other words, when I looked over here, I see the grid reset. When I do the factory reset on the main portal page, it's going to perform a grid reset as part of the factory reset. Okay, so I'm going to close out of this, go back to my first page. Go back here. That was the last option. And then, of course, the very last thing you can do is log out. And so I will log out. It sets you back to the main login page. And if you want to get back in, you're going to have to re-enter the admin password again. Go back in and do some configurations again. That's it. That pretty much covers us on the portal page. As I said, if you want to continue on with your training, you can go back to the MS Sedco YouTube channel. And I would highly recommend watching the video that covers the grid page, goes through all of the configurations and setting up the hub and the attached, the connected intersectors. Go through all that. There's really good information in there, and it's just going to help you that much more when you're out in the field doing the real thing. Also, there's a hub orientation video, which not very technical in nature. It's just kind of providing an overview, whether it's a technician that's viewing it or even a salesperson that is viewing it. Just gives you a good overview of the hub. So that's it for now. I really appreciate you checking us out, watching our videos. I hope you were able to learn something by viewing this. Of course, if you have any questions, you can always give us a call at MS Sedco, email customer service, call us direct, any way you choose. All our information is on our website at www.mssedco.com. Thanks again, everyone. Bye-bye.